We've been talking to every CEO in the United States about what's going on back home and the government shutdown. Interestingly enough, there are now a number of federal workers who are trying to make ends meet being Uber drivers.
Yes, we love it when new driver partners join the platform, but this is most definitely not how we want new driver partners to join the platform.
How many have you seen join?
We haven't quantified it, but it's definitely happening in D.C., and it's happening to the most needy. And listen, we're hoping that this ends. Obviously, it's out of our control, but one of the benefits of Uber is that for people who are displaced temporarily, if they lose a job, if something happens and they need some earnings opportunities, Uber is there. And then when they don't need Uber, they can kind of move on as well.
What's the upfront cost for a driver just to jump in? Because there are...
You've got to own a car. Right. You've got to have a license. You have to do a background check, although we cover that cost for you. So the cost is really de minimis. You just have to have, make sure that you don't have a criminal past that would cause an issue in the platform.
One of the other issues related to the government shutdown has been the delay in IPOs and the fact that the 5,000 workers at the SEC have now become 250 workers at the SEC, and their pens have completely stopped working effectively. Yeah. What does that mean for the IPO that you have talked now so much about being a 2019 proposition?
Well, I've been told that I've talked too much about the IPO, so I won't specifically talk about the IPO. But listen, I always tell my team, focus on what you can control. And there's nothing that we can do about the shutdown. There's nothing we can do about the SEC. What we can do is run a good business, build a terrific service, continue to build our brand, and that's really what we're focused on right now.
And in terms of growth right now and profitability, how much are you focused on the growth piece versus the profitability piece ahead of the IPO? And has that shift changed?
Well, what we want to build is sustainable growth that can be profitable. Sometimes near term, for example, if you look at one of our largest and fastest growing businesses, Uber Eats. Home delivery of food, it's over 200,000 restaurants in under 30 minutes. It's a magical experience. And we have had cities in which the Eats product has become profitable. But essentially, once we saw that program working, we're accelerating city launches. Early cities early on are unprofitable, but we know that the model is sustainably profitable over a long period of time. So we think about near-term growth with long-term profits.
Hey, Dara, you just said that your message to your team is don't worry about the stuff we can't control, focus on what we can. So what's at the list of your worries of things that you can control, things that you'd like to really get your arms around?
Well, I think that one area that we can control is making sure that our growth is now in concert with regulators of cities in which we operate. I think that in the past, and listen, to some extent it was a strength, but it's not something that is sustainable. We grew just purely based on consumer demand, and we didn't necessarily take the time to have a dialogue with society, with regulators, with cities as to growth that serves all of the constituencies. We're having that dialogue now. It sometimes causes complexity in our model, sometimes causes us to pause, but it creates a lasting model. And what's special about Uber is we're part of life in the cities. We're a huge labor force, et cetera. So we've got to take that time and have that dialogue.
It wasn't just that you weren't taking the time before you were there as CEO. I think the company's actual plan was to kind of sneak in under the radar and do as much as you could as quickly as possible. Are you still dealing with the after effects of bruised egos, bruised feelings in some of these municipalities?
I think in some, but I would tell you that the majority of municipalities, their goal is to improve life for their citizens, with the folks who live in their cities. And life with Uber Eats, life with jump bikes, et cetera, is better. And it's a question of how we can achieve our goals, but be respectful of some of the limits that they put on us.